Hello everyone, this is Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. How are you all today, wherever you are in the world when you're watching? A huge shout out to you. Firstly, just one of these perennial messages that I need to deliver the trolls. This is not a pro-Trump channel. Yes, I am biased. I'm biased against sedition, disloyalty to your constitution, grifting, sexual exploits, trying to take away choices for the individual liberties, coup attempts, storming of capitals, all that. Lawlessness, okay? I'm anti-Trump, okay? I'm anti-Trump, and the current iteration of the GOP, from what I can see, I'm anti them too. I'm anti-Russia. I'm anti-invading another country and murdering women, children, and men in what is clearly war crimes. I'm anti all of that. Okay, so there's my bias straight up. That's where I read from. A place of values and justice. And if you don't share them, as outlined, as I've just outlined, then this channel's not for you. Okay. All right, let's get going here. I'm using the Thoth Tarot, the Thoth Tarot. I had a lisp when I was a young kid. Sometimes it comes back. The Thoth Tarot deck. The Thoth Tarot deck. Okay, this is by Aleister Crowley. But you know what? One of the reasons why I'm using it today, I want to look at who did those illustrations, because you can be damn sure it wasn't Aleister Crowley. Okay, let's get to the heart of it. The imagery in this deck is painted by Lady Frida Harris. Lady Frida Harris. Designed by Aleister Crowley. I wonder what he did. But painted from that place of inspiration, as all painting is. I'm actually hand painting a tarot deck at the moment. More on that later. Painted by Lady Frida Harris. Okay. So, a few things to read on here. First of all, it is May 9th. May 9th, and well, in Australia anyway. And of course we have Russia and Putin's big parade, celebrating the end of World War III, ooh, Freudian slip, World War II, maybe that's what he's going to paint the invasion of Ukraine as, celebrating the end of World War II and the defeat of the Nazis, Nazi Germany. So now we have Putin trying to spin his invasion of Ukraine as into a moral reason for killing innocent women and children. You know what he did as one of his, I guess, symbolic things? He bombed a school in eastern Ukraine where civilians, women, children, and, well, civilians were sheltering. That's his big statement. Okay. Let's have a look. There is no, I think pundits are correct when they say there is no off-ramp for Putin. They are expecting him either to ratchet up the rhetoric and expand this so-called war to the west, or claim he's been victorious in Ukraine. Let's see which it is. Okay, is he going to expand the war? And of course, I go to Moldova, sections of Moldova. Okay, is Putin going to expand this war outside of Ukraine to wherever that may be? Will Putin expand his invasion? Okay, so we've got the Emperor. Well, he's going to do something. He's going to do something to show that he is the king, the emperor, the Tsar, the great Putin, the emperor. However, we have the Hanged Man. His efforts are stalled. So here we have the two signifier cards in this Toth deck. We have the two signifier cards here. He's been stalled. His march toward being the Emperor is stalled. So we have Nine of Cups. He's going to paint it as a gain. He's going to paint it as his objectives have been fulfilled. Interesting. The Three of Pentacles in the past, skill. So more propaganda. However, we have the Two of Pentacles crowning this reading, which is about change. So while he's spouting his propaganda, we also have Jupiter and Capricorn here. He has a decision to make, and because of the sanctions, which, you know, will eventually ultimately bite, the EU has just voted to, European countries have just voted to stop buying oil within a certain time period from Russia. We have Jupiter in Capricorn. He is, first of all, walking a tightrope. And if you see the crown here on the snake, we've got a Jupiter and a Capricorn symbol here. So the war is costing him, costing Russians, but he's going to try and paint it in a good light. However, there is a possibility, because this is only a potential, that the change that we're talking about, the decision that he has to make here, is one of expanding the war effort. Now we have the Five of Wands, strife. All of my readings have always pointed to his efforts in Ukraine failing, which we saw in Kiev. We also talked about Russian resistance, which is very strong and growing. And we also talked about UN peacekeepers coming in and establishing humanitarian corridors. We also talked about the civilians being able to be extracted from Mariupol, but I wasn't sure about the soldiers. So we see strife here. That's obstacles, challenges, competition, the energy. This is where Lady Frieda's painting is so, hand painting is so interesting. The energy here is stalling and strife and things not going his way. Yes, that's Rocky, my son's dog, in the background there. Now, in the here and now, we have the Ace of Pentacles. There's something around new forms of income here that he's looking for. He's going to paint this as a new start, but the reality is something very, very different. And we've got here temperance and moderation. So, right now, these are the sanctions. Anything to do with money is actually, even though pundits are saying the sanctions aren't really biting, I feel they are. Now, he's going to talk about, seizing, is it $5 million worth of tractors, massive amounts of grain from Ukraine. Those are going to be talked about as victories. However, the tractors, the agricultural equipment was all remotely disabled by the Ukrainians. How can anyone think it's okay to steal grain from another country, wheat from another country? It's not theirs to steal, to have. Prince of Swords, in the hopes and fears the truth. What he fears most is the truth coming out. He has everybody on such a short leash here to stop that. And these remind me of the Pentacles here. Remembering that his control is slipping. What's he going to do? Four of Wands. Now, in this deck, it is about completion, but in other decks, this is Venus energy. You know what? I'm not seeing expansion here. And the reason that he won't is because the finances in Russia, this is just a It's just a reading, right? It's like, could be right, could be wrong. But I use the Thoth deck for a reason. What did I call it? The Thoth deck? Thoth deck. For a reason here. And this is Venus in Aries energy. Venus in Aries, completion. Completion. It's about celebration and reunification in other decks. And we've got the Three of Wands in this deck. Has the word virtue under it, completion and virtue. I don't think he's going to expand in any great detail. And we have the Sun, joy, happiness. Okay, so May the 9th celebrations, his speeches is going to be, as we expected, a lot of propaganda. But this deck shows us, well, any tarot deck shows us what's really under the surface. Finances, money, him being pared down, Russia being pared down, the economy downturning, the military not being as mighty as what we thought it was. How could it be when the top elite oligarchs take all the money? We've seen all those luxurious yachts being taken, yet we've heard stories about the Russian army not having basic supplies. Okay, so it's probably, from my reading, it's going to be propaganda, and I think he's going to paint everything as a win, as expansive, but in reality, I'm not sure he can take it any further. I don't think he has the ability to take it any further. Now, we have the Queen of Wands at the base of the pack, stepping forward, bravely, passion, motivation, fearlessness, and we have Three of Cups, abundance, and the party of three here as well. We have the Queen of Swords, so that's a strategy, and we've got the Knight of Cups, an offering. So I just see May 9th celebrations as him wanting to paint this as a victory for all Russians, territory taken, talking about the protectorate, all of that, all the BS that people believe as being true, including in Western democracies, while somehow seemingly ignoring the war crimes that have been committed in Ukraine. So that's my take on the situation through these particular cards, and that is that financially, the economy, his access to liquidity, money, whatever's going on in Russia financially at this time is perhaps a lot worse than what we think it is, and this is the reason why he will stop where he is, because anything else, it's getting harder and harder to hide the truth from the Russians. Okay, that's what he's going to do, according to these cards today. All right, let's. I do want to go to the, which is not entirely unrelated, to the Republicans in the US. Now, God, where do I start? So you would have all heard about the video of Madison Cawthorn. I don't even want to go there. You would have also heard about Marjorie Taylor Greene's past, adulterous past. We're all waiting for Matt Gaetz to be charged with nefarious activities with underage women. And of course, all of this is couched with the backdrop of the leaked SCOTUS draft. And if you want to look at my readings, you can go back and scroll back on the attempts to overturn Roe versus Wade. Okay, I do want to say, I'm not going to read on that right now. I got something else I want to talk to you about. But I will just stop for a minute and say that I am so deeply triggered as a woman, by what is coming out of the US at the moment in states like Missouri and Louisiana and Texas and other states that are criminalizing, even moving to even criminalize what I would call family planning, contraception, outlawing. Are they taking lessons from the Taliban in those red states? This is more than just regressiveness back to the 17th century. It's actually about taking women's power away. And so, yes, I have been triggered, given that we have conservative politicians here that are welcoming any law that outlaws abortion, takes away a woman's right to privacy around her health and the decisions she makes about her health. And that is the bottom line. That is the bottom line. Anyone who doesn't quite understand that, maybe you need to go and see a woman in jeopardy. Whether she's miscarried or whether there's complications in the pregnancy that threaten her life and the life of the unborn child, major complications. Anyone who doesn't understand that, you've no right to speak. All right, so don't speak. Don't speak. I'm taking away your right to speak. Okay, all right, so I want to go now to the GOP and its Russian connections. On Twitter over the weekend, a former Republican, campaign strategist with John McCain's campaign in 2008, released a fairly damning, thread talking about John McCain's links to Russia and of course Manafort in Ukraine at the time, with his relationship with the Putin puppet in Ukraine and how they vetted and chose Sarah Palin in 2008. How McCain, of course, was wined and dined by the oligarchs. So what he's saying is that the Russian interference in American politics did not start with Donald Trump. It started in 2008 with the John McCain campaign. Now, that to me was shocking. But it would explain Lindsey Graham's position. It would explain how those GOP senators who were cozy with the Russian oligarchs became to be so strident during the Trump years. They didn't just miraculously appear, they were already formed there. Okay, so I do want to say that McCain in the end appeared to me, in choosing Obama to give his eulogy, appeared to want redemption. I don't think he was an active player. I think he just didn't stop it when he could have. Okay, so the GOP, the modern day GOP, let's see how they're doing out there with the voters. Massive voter turnout is what I see. When I read on Roe versus Wade, huge implications for the midterms. So, is this turning the way that the GOP is behaving, whether it's their cavorting videos, Cawthorn's videos, Marjorie Taylor Greene's extramarital affairs, whether it's sedition and violence at the Capitol, whether it's more to come. Remember that in Trump's reading that I did, which was my last reasonably deep dive into Trump, I saw something that shocked me. Occasionally that happens in the tarot. And what was that? That was trafficking. I feel that he was involved in trafficking women, and that will come out. Okay. All right. So let's have a look at the current iteration of the GOP. Current iteration of the GOP is the penny dropping with voters, regardless of who they are. So is the current GOP, is it successfully perceived by the majority of voters? Okay, got dogs everywhere here. Okay, so we have the Prince of Wands. Prince of Wands talks about movement. movement of something. This is a person in a chariot. There's a journey happening here. And we have, oh, well, let's just persevere. Lots of dogs here. Okay, so that's a card in the this deck that I'll just take out. It doesn't really mean anything. And we have truce. We have truce here. So we've got the Prince of Wands and truce. Four of Swords, retreat. Movement has stopped. Any movement or gains that they were making, and this is where I get the trolls coming on the channel when they start to see these cards and they go, ooh, well, she can't be right because she's a witch, you know. These cards are just, she's so biased, yada, yada, yada. Don't like the messages? Shoot the messenger. Okay, well, don't shoot her. But no need to be nasty. Okay, so we have here retreat of their movement. That was a specific question I asked. Now we have the sun here, which can be happiness and joy, but it can also be full illumination, the light of the day. No dark shadows. The truth being revealed. We have, and this is what is occurring now in the US Pluto return. And I've said it for years now, the truth is coming out. It is never buried for long. Okay, the sun always comes out and shines on the truth. And we have the Two of Wands, dominion. Okay, Two of Wands. This is something coming to fruition in time, but it's in the past. Okay, so they have been working for more than a decade toward a certain outcome, and that is being revealed. In the sky, we have the Three of Wands. So this is virtue in this particular deck. The Three of Wands in the sky talks about waiting for one ship to come in, standing at the shore. There's a time here that you must go through before what you've been working toward comes to pass. So this is the precariousness of the situation. But it's in the sky, which means it's only a potential. The win or their plans are only a potential at this time. And we have the Nine of Cups, happiness, wish fulfillment. I do feel that, and I hate to say this, but I do feel that Roe versus Wade is overturned, whether that's sent back to the States, not actually being formally overturned, but sent back to the States, which is the same thing, please, people. I said this in the past. It's the same thing as overturning it because it allows states to make their anti-abortion laws in those southern states. Okay, so a lot of emotion around this. They get their wish in some way. The Queen of Pentacles, it talks about stability, women, stability. They're at the same time that they're getting their wish, their ship coming in, they're getting something else with that as well. Women will fight back. The universe, endings and beginnings. This is a battle. This is a battle that will change, ultimately, eventually, the face of the GOP in America. Power is in the hopes and fear position. The Four of Pentacles. Power. The hope is power. Oh, I've got another card. This is a new deck, by the way. But we have the Ten of Swords as the outcome card, ruination. Now, in one of my 2022 readings, I talked about talk of succession increasing in the US. And I think that was a fair prediction, fairly accurate prediction. But guess what? We've got disappointment. It's interesting. I read a quote from Ed Sheeran, the singer of all things. If you're unhappy or worried about the end, then it's not the end, because everything will be okay in the end. It's just how we go to get there, which is one way of looking at something. Ruin and disappointment here. And we've got the Nine of Pentacles, gain for somebody else, for something else, independence, gain for what? Gain for independence. So they're course that they're charting. This can also be luxury, money. That's, there's more to come out on that as well. That's part of the truths that are coming out around the grifting. Almost like there was a period in the last 4 or 5 years, and honestly, it's probably, it may not even be as bad as we're going to see it get. So I want to preface that in the US, because there are a lot of people, a lot of experts, pundits, experts in democracy who are extremely worried about what's occurring in the US. But my question was around the GOP with voters. And the outcome cards I get: ruination, disappointment, and a gain for independence. Knight of Swords, the truth coming out. And I talked about the former president, the ex-president. Yes, ex-president, if indeed we can even tack on the word president here. Ex-Trump. Okay, we're talking about more truths coming out. More truths coming out. And we've got oppression. Oppression. In the Ten of Wands. It's just, you can't sell this stuff in 2022 to the electorate. And so they're going to pay a price. They're going to pay a price. But, strife. Okay, one last one for Mr. Trump. Are we getting it going? I'm just going to say, are we going to get some bombshells around Mr. Trump and his past activities? Let's see what they are. I'm using my golden tarot now. The toss deck is put to the side. And let's have a look. Are we going to see truth before the midterms emerge around Mr. Trump and his nefarious activities? What can you show us here without preempting too much? So I'm getting the Four of Swords here, which is wounded, retreat. We have the Nine of Pentacles. Money, gain, luxury. The Two of Pentacles. Okay, so this is somebody that's juggling too much. He's being fined $10,000 a day by a New York court for not turning over evidence. Okay, so there's something around his finances, are very precarious. We have Jupiter. Jupiter moving into Aries. Interesting. Jupiter moving into Aries. I don't see that as a bad thing. I see expansion emerging. Now, we have moderation in the past. So it's like for him, the tipping point already passed, and that was in 2020, January 2021, I guess, January the 6th. So there was more or less a divine energy that came in to help with this moderation that we're seeing in relation to him. Now, in the sky, we have the Chariot. So there is potential for the January the 6th event to January 6th attempted coup. Information tying him to that to come out. And we have the King of Cups, which is Biden in the near future. So this is around the election. Okay, so there's the election in 2020. So there's more coming out on that. But I think there's something else there. He's currently under investigation with that King of Swords. And we've got Three of Cups celebration. So I think we're going to hear about, I've always said, some kind of investigation, even charge before the midterms. Yeah. Hopes and fears. We've got the Tower card. The Tower card. This is January the 6th. And we've got, So we're going to hear about this January the 6th and betrayal of the Constitution. And there's just loss. Not good cards for Trump. The base of the pack is the Queen of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles. These are his children. So they're going to be drawn into this, whatever is occurring around this January the 6th, they're going to be drawn into. Don Jr. gave evidence before the committee. I see a son, so did Ivanka. I see a son and a daughter being involved in this. Okay. Let's go to the sex trafficking. This would be via the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. And also I feel the SDNY still investigation has more to bring forward. So let's have a look at so many investigations. Will we learn the truth if he was involved in trafficking? Will we know the truth about Trump and trafficking? Four of Cups, we've got disappointment here. And we've got abuse. Okay, abuse and disappointment. 3 cups have been lost, 1 remaining, and we've got abuse. Who is this? Is this Ghislaine Maxwell? She's going to be sentenced. Is this the time when she turns over the red book? We have, or the black book, whatever it's called, the names. So we have the 10 of Swords, complete and utter downfall. That's also my, anyway, complete and utter downfall. The past we have the Queen of Wands, So this is either a female judge or investigator. I still feel there's more to come through SDNY. 2 death cards here. 2 death cards. Anxiety. Sleepless nights. It's the end for him, the end of everything for him. The Knight of Wands, movement. There's a lot of movement here. And the King of Wands. Movement where? Movement in investigations, movement in the courts. Now we have here the 5 of Cups. I just get such bad cards for him. You know, it's like it's just disappointment, loss, grief, dwelling on the past. We have strength. Okay, so will this come out? I'm pretty sure it will. Here's the High Priestess. You know, when she shows in my readings, you know, there's a bombshell coming. We have his business, Trump Organization. Okay, simmering below the surface, you heard it here. There is something to come out about a business he was involved in. I asked about trafficking. So when I say that, I'm talking about that kind of Epstein business. He was involved in an Epstein-like business. We have the Trump Organization. We have the truth coming out. Queen of Cups, something being revealed. So that's what I get. That's what I got when I pulled cards on this months ago, and I kind of did a double take. Occasionally that occurs, and when that occurs, you can write a check on it because that's a real telling for me that I've hit upon something prophetic. So something's emerging about Trump, both on the attempted coup, but also something else. Is Ghislaine Maxwell going to spill the beans? Perhaps she will. Perhaps she will. Okay, bye for now, everyone.